Hi, everybody. Can everyone hear me okay? I think that there are a couple people online that don't have their microphone muted because I can hear a little bit of background noise. So if everyone will just check real quick. Turn the little. We're going to have a couple of minutes together before we start. So for anybody that hasn't, or for anybody that's just jumping right on from doing something else, I would suggest just taking a couple of minutes to get comfy and kind of finding your center. Like I said in the email, hi Beth. Like I said in the email, I'm still getting used to working and communicating and being in contact with so many people at the same time. And it's ever so helpful if people are settled down and in. I realized my sister told me last time she could only see my face. And so she got to see about 5 minutes of me going people that she can't see, but they're there for anyone that can only see me, I promise. If everybody comes that says they're going to, we have about 85 people on the call today. So just gonna wait long enough to give everybody an opportunity. I guess maybe I could say a couple words on theta healing and the kind of energy work I do. There was more people on this call that I don't know than there was last time. So it's always a practice to hit the sweet spot, to communicate with people that have been doing this practice a long time and for people that are brand new. But I'll just riff for a couple of minutes since we're kind of hanging out anyways. Theta healing is an energetic modality by which the practitioner goes into a theta brainwave. There's 5 different brainwaves, and theta is the brainwave you're in when you're dreaming. It's the brainwave you're in when you're sort of in a trance-like state, or you could say a really deep state of meditation. And in the context of a one-on-one session, I'm utilizing that space to do belief work and working on healing the body. And in the context of the group, it's seemed most nourishing to toggle back and forth between some of the basic practices of theta, like learning to clear your space and getting your energy centers all dialed in, and then some of the bigger conversations that honor our the current snapshot on our political and social and health and racial climate that we're in. Because there's a lot going on, and it's an art and a practice for me to honor the reality of the situation that we're in and my responsibility to communicate about it, and to do it under the context of theta healing, because that's my area of expertise. Get me out of that area, and I don't really know. I'm not an expert. So it looks like we're just about ready to roll. Okay, look at that. All right, lovely. So for those of you that haven't been on the call before, I always like to start by doing an opening circle. I think that ceremony and acknowledgement when you're about to do something that you've never done before in particular, but even to just honor a space that is familiar and sacred to you, starts to create a container, because there's a bunch of different types of people on the call today, thank God, and people of all kinds of different backgrounds. The opening prayer is a way that we can start to harmonize our energy bodies together, which makes the group work much easier. And it also allows us to start to just even ever so slightly loosen the addiction to receiving through the lens of the mind, which is in a constant state of I like and I don't like, and I agree with and I don't agree with. And just for context, for those of you that don't know me, I really I have no soapbox, other than that I believe that we all have an energy body. I believe that the energy body is wildly untended to in our culture for the most part, and that no matter how many healthy choices you make for your body around water and exercise and food, that if you don't learn to tend to the subtle, powerful infrastructure of your unique kind of psycho-spiritual body, that you're fucked just a little tiny bit. So so that's what we're going to do. We're going to start with an opening prayer, and to create that circuit of energy, even if it feels a little bit odd if you haven't been here before, we always do thumbs to the left, which is part of the practice of theta healing. So if you put your left palm up and your right palm down, and just really get that what we're doing is we're creating a circuit of energy with everyone else on the call. As you put your left hand up and your right hand down, the left side is traditionally the yin receptive side, and the right side is the generative offering side. And in that way, in the same way that all the batteries have to get stacked in the same direction so that the positive and negative charge make electricity flow, in that same way, we're all going to get connected in this way to allow the collective consciousness to carry us forward from this moment forward. So if everyone will just close your eyes for me and take a deep breath as I find my center. I still get a little adrenaline peak right before I start, but that's how I know I'm onto something good. So close your eyes, find your breath, and really get that what we're calling in is whatever form the invisible divine takes for you. It doesn't matter what we call it. It doesn't matter how we worship it. It's a way of acknowledging that we in our physical reality are such a small, small slice of the pie, that there is an infinite intelligence that runs through all things everywhere and all the time, including you. And that without it, we would be very much like puppets with no strings. So let's just take a moment to call in together. Mother, Father, God, creator of all that is, to the winds and the water, to the earth, sky, and trees, and to the beings of light that guide and assist us through all spaces, seen and unseen, known and unknown. I ask in the highest and best way that in the context of an hour, we as a group find a way to take heart, to lean into areas of discomfort that prevent us from knowing the truth, that we as a collective consciousness create a healing container, not just us as individuals and not just us as the collection of beings that are on the call, but as a wave of potentiality and invitation for anyone that it would honor their life, their karma, their dharma to answer. I ask that today be both an opening and a release, and that we make contact with an aspect of ourselves that we have been potentially unwilling to deal with, to heal, to nourish, to release, and to be reborn. May this hour be a beautiful hour, well spent and well heated, in honor of you, in honor of me, and in honor of all of our ability and knowledge that we can do better. So let's just send a little prayer and energy out into the universe, asking that I'm guided, you're guided, and so it is. Everyone wants to just take a nice deep breath and kind of find center. So I know that for the beginning of the email, that starting an email with "how's the shit show going" isn't exactly considered a positive greeting, but fuck, I don't know about you, but there's really been a lot of stuff coming to the surface. It just feels like these sort of tectonic plates of energy shifting, and everything that's been hidden starting and wanting to push up to the surface, which is both beautiful and necessary and terrifying, because as human beings, we're designed to fear what we don't understand, essentially. And so as I was sort of contemplating and thinking about what this particular session was about, and asking questions about, in Theta, my Theta practice allows me to sort of sit in a meditative space and receive. I was asking questions about how anxiety and our DNA and energy work all puzzle piece themselves together. And part of the practice of Theta healing is to uproot unconscious belief systems. And some of those belief systems are from our individual childhoods. And some of those belief systems were genetically inherited with the body that you're in. And so, especially in the climate and the conversations around racism, I think that it's so healthy for us to acknowledge that anxiety is caused by fear, and fear, unless you're, being chased by a tiger, or someone's actually literally trying to kill you in real time, is a projected fabrication and an evidential a basket of evidence that we've gathered, whether in our personal experience or the experience of our ancestors. And so as I was asking how best to create a container, the beginning download of what came up was to have a conversation around what it means to learn to sit up straight. And I completely honor that there's so many different types of bodies on the call, and not everybody is able-bodied. And so my suggestion to you is to, Gail, there you go, is to really find a place where you can tune into being willing to sit up straight for the context of the call, and then to really understand that the sitting up straight is rich with metaphor and potentiality for everything that's been going on lately. And some of the ideas and images and metaphors that were coming up as I was sort of being shown this and to ask this of everybody is this idea that some pain in the body is caused by a weakness and a favoring of kinds, right? So there's been like an underutilization of aspects of the body that then creates some sort of flimsiness or floppiness, where the musculature is not supporting the body in the way that it's meant to. And then some pain is caused by hyperextension and a overutilization of certain aspects of the body, or always reaching something with our right hand, whatever that looks like. And so for those of you that have had any kind of healing or health journey, you probably are very well aware of the way to get the body back online is to know the difference between those two types of pain. There's the pain of being confronted with what's uncomfortable because we haven't been used to it and it's not a habit. And then there's the pain of hyperextended habit. And so, yeah, as I was feeling into these two different qualities, the image that was coming up was imagining that white supremacy, the patriarchy, misogyny, ooh, fun. Sorry, I can't really help it. It's not fun at all. It's terrible. But let's just imagine that like this wave of cacophonous, destructive sounds and energies, right? And let's imagine that because there's so many different kinds of people on the call, it's so healthy for me to create metaphor and context for where you are relationally to the subjects that are going on right now. So let's say that there are some of us, not me, but there are some beings, even on the call, that have been plummeted by the wave, right? Have been in constant attack and had to go fetal and create themselves as either pressing against the wave or trying to push back and fight the wave, right? And then there's been beings in the wave that are very consciously aware that they're in the wave, which we could say are like, you know, the KKK, or beings who are actually just like so full of rage and hatred. And then there's a huge majority of white people that have been in the wave and not known they're in the wave, that they're the wave. And so contextually for the call, what I would love to do is to find the belief systems that honor the people that have been plummeted and suppressed and oppressed by the wave, to honor the beings that have been created as powerful and pushing back and strong against the wave, and to get that there's a translation for those of us that want to move from being in the wave to around the wave. And we can't do it quickly because it's not conscious choice. It's unconscious ideology and belief system that's been fed to us from the moment that we got here. And to me, part of what this session is about, will everyone take a breath? Thanks. I know that once I get going, I really can talk faster and faster, but we want to remember that even in the context of listening and what we're creating together, that getting tense and getting tight is not a good idea. So what I kind of was being shown was that part of this is about us learning how to get strong and to recognize that it takes strength and guts and fortitude to change the fucking game, because the game sucks for too many people. And so I really got this idea of learning to train the muscles around our spine, partly literally by learning how to sit up straight, which actually does create us as more connected to divinity and more connected to the earth when it's possible for us. And to start recognizing that the tension in the body in some ways is either trauma, direct trauma and belief systems, or it's the perpetuation of fear of trauma and belief systems. So for most white people, it's the perpetuation of our fear bodies, right? And I really was starting to be shown in Theta this morning how empathy comes most often towards those creatures, people, body, minds, and spirits that we feel are safe for us, right? So we all feel protective of like a puppy and a baby and little beings that we think are so cute and precious. And one of the ways that we have been, in terms of like the whiteness part of it, that we have been so inundated and brainwashed and indoctrinated is the both subtle and overt believing that people of color are dangerous. And it's horrifying the way in which that background noise has allowed so many of us to look the other way and to look away as if it doesn't have anything to do with us, right? And so part of what we need to do is to, I think if we're looking at the wave, on the whiteness end of the spectrum, is to feel into the thought what you've been indoctrinated with, right? And we're just going to really see if we can clean it all up to the best of our ability, at least in the context of Theta, as much as I can do. And to really take into consideration, I have not been safe for other people, right? Because I think for a lot of white people, that's a shocking statement. And it's just a shocking sentiment to really sit with, especially if you're like, oh, so nice, and I pray every day, and you know, whatever the thing is. But this is about starting to unpack, what does it mean to be dangerous for another human being? And everything that is unconscious within us is dangerous for other human beings. And, you know, fortunately, unfortunately, the way nature and time works is that we can't clean it up all at once, because it's not just about us as an individual, it's about a whole cultural consciousness. So sorry, I'm gonna try to bring it back down. So what I would love to do is to nod to the fact that there's been so much pain and so much anxiety happening for all of us for many different reasons. Corona, you know, there's a lot of like stacked experiences, and for us to recognize that when we're in our neurotic anxiety and when we're in tension and when we're in fear, we're not creating safety for other people. And it's not a judgment and it's not a shaming thing. It's just a recognition that it takes someone who feels safe to create safety around you. And it takes an acknowledgement and an understanding of learning when you actually are and are not safe, right? So is everyone good? Sticking with me? Okay, great. Thank you. So what I would love to do is we're going to do the Theta meditation. And then what we're going to do is we're going to move slowly through the chakra systems and really starting to examine whatever belief work wants to start coming up there by pulling and releasing and recognizing there's a full spectrum of people that I'm talking to. And so I want to talk up and down the stream, and only you and your intuitive heart know where you exist in relationship to those belief systems, right? But it's not going to do anybody any harm to clear something that's not there. So what I would love everyone to do is to just get comfy for a minute, and we're going to just close your eyes. If you can, and there you go. And for those of you that can, just see if you can find a way even right now to allow the spine to support the body in a way that is both powerful and soft, in a way that is both natural and an invitation and a willingness to tune yourself in to receive. And sitting up straight is such a beautiful way to say to your physical body, to say to your energy body that all is well, that you can soften, that you can ease. And I'm going to slowly walk you through the Theta meditation, grounding and connecting you to the earth, and then work up. For those of you that haven't been on the call before, a practice of Theta is to say, can I come into your space? And all that that means is that you're allowing me to work with your energy body and to tend to you if anything comes up in that psychic space. And so with your permission, may I come into your space? Yeah, great. And you can just say yes if it's okay with you. And if it's not, it's really okay. So just take a deep breath, and we're going to deal slowly and surely with what it means to release anxiety by unwinding the DNA and starting to sift and sort through the pain that is an aspect of being out of alignment, and the pain that is a necessary byproduct of learning how to get back in alignment. So just as that is the intention, just close your eyes and take a moment and imagine that you can feel your point of consciousness like a beautiful glowing ball of light within you. Relax the breath in the body. And let's just allow that beautiful glowing point of light to begin to gently and effortlessly and easily move down. We're going to move down through chest and belly, down past the bottoms of the feet or out through the sacrum if you're sitting on the ground. You can imagine your consciousness like liquid streams of light or roots of a tree just moving down into the earth. 100 feet, 200 feet, just moving down through space and time. And imagine at the very center of the earth is a big, nourishing reservoir of Mother Earth energy. Let's just pause a moment and acknowledge that it takes a certain quality of humility and of humbleness to receive graciously and innocently and with gratitude. So let's just think about Mama Earth for a moment and all of her hows and ways and all she does and all she carries. Recognizing that to nourish from the earth is to be in right relationship. So imagine your energy, your consciousness, your tendrils just tapping or plugging into the very center of the earth. And beginning to drink and draw that liquid light up. Let's imagine that that earth energy, your consciousness, starts to travel up through the ground, coming closer and closer, being drawn up and in through the bottoms of the feet or into the root chakra. Just pausing for a moment And imagine the root chakra as a beautiful deep red ball of light right on the perineum. This is the space through which we close when we're afraid. We cut off resources. We isolate. We forget that we are not alone. So just for a moment, let's just imagine that beautiful red ball of light beginning to pulse and open as we drink that earth energy up and in. We're going to pause here just a moment. And I would like for all of us to receive right into the root Spirit's highest truth and perspective on what it means to feel safe. And that safety is not high walls and an excess of money. That safety is not found through youth, through beauty, through fame, through acknowledgement. That safety can only be found through making contact with reality, through self-connection with the body, and let's imagine for a moment, for those of us that have been on the side of the equation, that have been told over and over and over again that other people are dangerous, and our number one priority is to find safety for self. Let's just feel the tension of that for a moment, the scrambling, the desperation, the insanity around what we've done in order to feel safe based on something that is false, something that is construct. And right down into that space, let's pull and release. My number one priority is to be safe from other people. And let's just gently unwind and replace it with what it would feel like to live in a state of my number one priority is to be safe for other people. And let's just admit that we don't always know what that looks like. So for all of us, let's download right into the root chakra. It's possible to be safe and to be safe for others. And in terms of genetic beliefs, let's just ask on the spectrum of that wave that the damage that has been done in creating otherness, let's just ask that the toxicity of being told in ways both overt and direct, and for any BIPOC or people of color that are on the call, we're going to move up and down the spectrum, really honoring everyone's individual ancestral experience. But for just this moment in time, let's just ask, even anything that you have taken on because of being part of a system that indoctrinates us from the day of our birth, let's just ask that any aspect of us that has thought, for even in the deepest recesses of our unconscious, that people, Black people, brown people, other people, indigenous people, let's just remember that that fear is because of our atrocities created. And let's just ask that that fear and the insanity of that fear and the disease of that fear be dumped down into the earth where it belongs. Let's just ask in the highest and best way that any belief system, ideology, or commitment to being afraid of otherness and the way that we've been indoctrinated be pulled and released and sent to the light. And take a deep breath. And let's just ask for those of us that are beginning to do the work or haven't done the work yet, that we be guided towards practices that create us as safe for other people. May we spend money in ways that are safe for other people. May we communicate in ways that are safe for other people. Good, just relax the root, relax the butt. We're just going to go slow and gentle and easy. Everyone's doing great, but you got to stay soft. Up into the second chakra, orange. And again, let's just sit for a moment with acknowledgement of feelings that help perpetuate change and growth and evolution, and wallowing in feelings that allow self-absorption and a prevention of right action to take place. And let's just ask that we all be blessed with how to know the difference. Right into that space, let's ask, may I be blessed with knowing the difference between the emotions and feelings that cleanse and clear and create me as new. And may I be blessed to know the difference between those and the feelings that allow me to disconnect from my responsibility, culpability, and ability to show up in the world powerful, available, interested, curious. Let's just ask that a healing be done in all of our second chakras. May we allow and call in the anger and grief that activates healing and change. May we allow any collective consciousness, weight, or heaviness, or fear, or sadness that does not belong to us and is contributing to us getting smaller and tighter and disappearing be pulled and released from the second chakra and sent to the light from wherever it came. Lovely. Just take a deep breath, and we're going to move up into the third chakra. Just imagine it like a beautiful yellow glowing sun in your solar plexus, your center for power, for activation, for yang. Just imagine that beautiful glowing yellow ball of light beginning to spread and open. And let's think about power in the context of privilege. If you think about this call, that means that everyone has a quiet, safe place to tuck into. Everyone has the internet. Everyone has a cell phone or a laptop. So let's just think about the spectrum of privilege and power from the highest to the lowest, what that means. And let's just ask in that space that we clear and cleanse, that we think that power means being in control. And let's just ask that it be replaced with power. May I use my power? May I use my privilege to orient towards that which is nourishing and beneficial and liberating for all beings. Let's just ask that we download right into that space. I find my power through the goodness and the grace of connection with divinity. I find my power through the goodness and grace of being in contact with right action. I am powerful only as much as I live within my values. I am powerful only as much as I am self-communicative and down to be aware of the truth of myself and who I've been. Let's just ask that we all be blessed with an understanding of what true, activating, clarifying, joyful power feels like in the body. Good. Up into the heart chakra, green. It's so hard to keep our hearts open during this period of time. It's so hard to keep our hearts open to those that we believe don't deserve it, those that we believe are subhuman, subpar, disgusting, demonic. It's so hard for us to open our hearts, but as we close our hearts, we lose our power. As we close our hearts, we lose context with the long game. As we close our hearts, we cut ourselves off from the all that is. So let's just remember in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, throw your body into battle, but keep your heart, your beautiful heart, at the lotus feet of the Lord. Meaning take action, make changes, shore yourselves up, but keep your heart supple, surrendered, available, interested, curious. Let's just ask in the highest and best way that we all be reminded that love in all its forms is the most powerful vibration in the universe, and that it will take self-love to get through the next decade. It will take self-love to get through to the other side of this rebirth. And it will take a profound love of other and a profound love of other human beings to find your alignment with where you fit into all of this. Just asking that the hearts be open in the highest and best way. Take a breath. Gentle and easy. Good. Up into your throat chakra. Lovely. Let's think about for a moment your voice. Perhaps your voice is strong from pushing against this wave for the entirety of your life. Perhaps your voice is weak and ill-practiced from not even being aware that there was a wave at all. But from this space, let's just imagine of all the ways of self-expressing in the world, all the ways of communicating and speaking, just moving your energy into that beautiful blue ball of light in the throat. Let's just ask that our throat chakras be opened and that we begin the practice, whatever our level of development, of speaking and talking and offering in a way that is a force for what is right, for what is good, for what is inclusive, for what is healing, for what is true. May my voice and my throat be blessed. May the words I offer be of nourishing value, upliftment, and clarity for myself and those around me. Good. Gentle and easy, moving up into the third eye. This one is so particularly important in relationship to anxiety because there's the psychic body that picks up on all of the chaos that then translates into your nervous system getting anxious. And then there's the power of the third eye to pierce the veil, to see beyond the beyond, to see beyond the mess and the madness and the chaos and the war onto the canvas on which all of this is occurring. The all that is, the eternal energy behind the mess, around the mess, through the mess, that allows us to find sanctity and sanctuary and serenity, even as changes need to occur and old ways die and new ways are being born. Let's just ask that the third eye be opened in a way that has the most amount of potential of you being able to see the truth, not just knowing through reading articles and listening, but to make contact with wisdom and understanding where there is to go and what there is to do. Let's just ask that the body, mind, and spirit all together be blessed with some part of me knows where to go and what to do and how to do it. And the deeper I relax, the closer I get to that understanding. Good, everyone's doing great. Just don't forget to relax the belly, relax the spine. The spine is not meant to be rigid as it's upright. It's meant to be fluid and flexible and find its space. So gentle and easy up into the crown. Let's imagine that beautiful liquid purple light pouring forth from the crown and begin to spin it almost like a shutter of a camera towards the sky. Just reminding us that solutions and answers in the temporary are found through the mind, but solution and answers in the long term are found through the collective consciousness and connection with divinity that births new ways, new systems, new potentialities, new conversations, and that we must toggle between the two as gracefully and slowly and clearly as we can. So let's just ask that the crown chakra be open, reminding all of us that there is not a single person on this planet who is not a child of God, who is not an eternal soul coming in and out of experience and in and out of existence. And let's ask that we be blessed with an understanding of our own eternal godlike nature, knowing that the personality, the body, the spaces that we inhabit, our family history, are qualities of container so that we can do this all together. But at the end of the day, we all strip all of it down and all of it away. And here we all together, one being. Allow your beautiful point of consciousness to gently, as you release the breath in the belly, rise up past the top of the head, out through the sky. Higher and higher we go together Imagine leaving the atmosphere and stratosphere of planet Earth, up higher still, starting to pass layers and layers of bright white lights. Good, relax the belly, up and faster still. We see a big, beautiful, bright white light. And as our consciousness moves up through and into this beautiful, bright white light, imagine golden energy going through every single cell of the body. As we pass through an almost jelly-like substance where all the colors and shapes of the universe exist, relax the breath, relax the body. And up ahead a window, golden, beautiful window, pearlescent light of unconditional love, the place that we can call home. And as your point of consciousness lifts up through and into this beautiful light, we make the connection in your mind or out loud, however you see fit. I say Mother, Father, God, but it does not matter, however you address divinity. And let's just pause a moment and recognize that our minds, our hearts, our energy bodies are filled with images and conversations and ideas from media, from social media, from the people that we've been around, to the point where sometimes we don't even know what's ours and what is not ours. So from this place, if you've drifted, go all the way through the window. I'm going to make the command and do it for you, but I highly recommend you witness and help. Mother, Father, God, creator of all that is, I ask that all waywards, anything not in my highest and best, and anybody else's energy, including anyone I've seen online, anybody that I've read about, be cleansed and cleared from the body, mind, and spirit so that I might be able to hear myself. And from this space, let's just imagine like manna from heaven, great big, beautiful oceanic waves of green and pink coming down from the sky and flushing and cleansing. And anybody that pops up for you in this space, whether it's partner or friend or child or parent or someone from social media or an article that you read or a video that you watched, let's just ask that that light cleanse and clear just for a moment so that you can just have a little sovereign space to call your own. You don't have to, but I find it most helpful to say goodbye, and especially to those that we love, that we have emotional tension with. I love you, goodbye. I love you, goodbye, just temporarily. Good. Going all the way back up, and from that space, let's just ask that, you know, for your energy body, when you have exchanges with people, when you worry about the past, when you fret about the future, you start to fractalize and leave your own energy body behind, and your energy body starts to travel outside of you. And we're really best equipped to operate at maximum capacity when we're in ourselves, in present real time, connected to the body. So let's just ask from that space. It is asked that all aspects of myself, all soul fragments belonging to me, any quality or aspect of my soul or spirit that I've given away or lost in an exchange, get called home, cleansed, and returned to me. And you can imagine it like colored puzzles of puzzle pieces. You could imagine it like homing pigeons flying home to you. But just imagine calling yourself back from the week ahead of you, from the week behind you, from what you were doing right before the call, just everybody back into your own field. Good. And from this space, let's just download and remind all of us, body, mind, and spirit, that there is a vast difference between checking out and being in denial and looking the other way and giving ourselves an opportunity to get present and to get connected and to digest and catch up. Because when we're fractalized, we make more messes anyways. So let's just remind all of us that it is safe for you, that it is okay for you, that it is necessary for you to do what you need to do to stay intact enough, to stay in the game, to stay in the conversation, and to figure out a clear way path forward. Really lovely. So gentle and easy, what we're going to do, and if you've drifted at all, let's just go all the way back up through space and time, up through the window, up through the jelly-like substance, up through that pearlescent space where we make the connection. And what I would love for you to do is imagine that you could actually feel the spirals of DNA within your body for a moment. Just imagine any tension in the body is your DNA contracted, tightening onto itself, bracing against. And see if you can feel where in the body you can feel that bracing. Good. And as you breathe in and breathe out, let's just imagine oxygen coming down through the top of the crown. And as you breathe out, just allow that unfolding to take place. Just imagining that spiraled ladder getting a little bit looser and a little bit more flexible. We breathe in. We breathe out. And from that more tuned and tapped in space, ask yourself, where does the tension of racism and conversations around racism live in my body? Breathe in and breathe out. Let's just ask in that space that the fear, that the defensiveness, if you have defensiveness, the anger, if you have anger, the checking out, if you check out, can we all just ask in the highest and best way that we welcome in aliveness, availability, a willingness to learn something new. Once again, aliveness, take a deep breath, availability, and a willingness, if it's appropriate for you, to be willing to learn something new. And right into those spaces across the entire spectrum, let's just ask in the highest and best way that whatever we've been feeling and resenting, whatever we've been feeling and pushing against, that in this space you say to yourself, I am willing to feel blank in order to be born anew, in order for change to occur. I am willing to experience blank in order to learn, in order to expand, and in order to get free in this lifetime. I'm just going to ask in the highest and best way that any anxiety that's being generated by not knowing what to do, let's just sit with that for a second. All the anxiety that's being generated from not knowing what to do, whether it's about what we've been talking about, or it's about not knowing what job you're going to take, or where your kids are going to go back to school, or if it's okay for you to hug one of your parents, just feel the anxiety of, I don't know what to do. And right into that space, I would just ask that any attachment and egoic attachment, that knowing what to do is what keeps us safe and having a good plan is what keeps us safe, be pulled, released, and sent to the light out of the body, the mind, and the spirit. And let's just try practicing the thought, I don't know what to do, but I'm willing to find out. I don't know what to do, but it will be revealed to me. My desire will call the answer forward. And so I become masterful in my desires, and I release and let go the addiction of knowing. I just want to pull and release from everyone's space, including mine, any part of us that says that if you don't know what to do, you'll die, that if you don't know what to do, everything will fall apart. and download body, mind, and spirit that a lot of times it's actually really safe not to know, and what it feels like to feel humble not to know, what it feels like to feel curious and not know, to feel innocent and not know, to feel willing and not know. None of us know. And if someone says they do, they're full of shit. We're just taking it one little beta step at a time. So let's just download, it's okay to forgive myself for not knowing what to do. I open myself to the fact that I would like to know. I would like to be clear. I would like to feel strong. I would like to have a direction that lives within my values. Good, everyone's doing great. Just take a deep breath. We're gonna go all the way back up. And from this space with our collective consciousness, which I've been doing almost on all of the calls, just gentle and easy, what we're gonna do is we're gonna practice allowing our collective consciousness to do some beautiful work together for ourselves and those that we're connected to in the world at large. And let's just start with thinking the thought powerfully and loudly, just so we know what would it be like to live in a world, right? You can start with that. What would it be like to live in a world? And let's hold the thought as loud as you can, where Black bodies and brown bodies are honored and respected. I want to live in a world where brown bodies and Black bodies are honored and respected. And let's just imagine and just ask in the highest and best way that protection for those that need it most, that guidance for those that are so far off course, that guidance comes for those beings that are so deeply asleep, that help and protection comes for those beings that are most vulnerable to assault. And together from this space, let's just ask, may I be an attractor of information and people and conversations and ideas and dreams that clarify how I can bring more balance and harmony and justice to the world. May I attract into my experience, not just from a book, but minute to minute and day by day and week by week and month by month, all that which educates, enlightens, wakes me up and turns me on so that I can be the most powerful force for the good that is possible within my lifetime. May I be willing to release and let go all habits and all influence from a capitalist society that cares more about profits than people, and may my heart open and may I align myself with my values, love over hate, people over profits, inch by inch, moment by moment, may I live closer and closer to the person that I want to be. May I be humble, may I be patient, may I be persistent, and may I learn to strengthen and shore up those aspects of myself that are unfamiliar with thinking this way. Good. And just take a nice deep breath. And I would just love, because there's so much bombastic energy happening culturally, but also just universally and energetically. There's so much shit going on right now. So let's just ask that we all be downloaded with what stability of spirit feels like. Stability of mind, stability of heart. What it feels like to stay grounded and centered. May we be a contribution to the balancing out of the boat and not one of the ones who keep running around and knocking it over and over again. May we learn the power of the divine feminine. May we learn the power of staying rooted and grounded. May we learn the power of kindness and clarity. And let's just imagine and ask unconditional love to be sent through every single one of our bodies. Just pouring forth once more like manna from heaven, just watching and imagining that liquid light going down through the top of the head, filling you up from the little bottoms of your toes, all the way to the tip of your head, overflowing. Let's just imagine a big, beautiful bubble of light being put around your body. Once again, asking that you call in the beings, the information, and the education that allows you to free yourself of the ways that you have been in unconsciousness, and allows you to gravitate towards what does it mean to be a conscientious, empathic, clear being. Good. Let's just ask that everyone get grounded to the earth, and together, just very gentle and easy, just imagine your consciousness coming back together. Imagine that beautiful glowing ball of light. We're just going to start coming down through space and time, down through the air and the ether, down into the atmosphere and stratosphere of planet Earth. Lovely. Just pause above your head for a moment. And I want you to consider that hatred against your body, whether it's because of how you look, or your weight, or your age, or the amount of pain you hold, is part of the scam and part of the delusion. So let's just take a moment as you pause above your body to acknowledge everything that your body has been doing for you, everything that your body holds to the best of its ability. And if it's appropriate for you, just for a moment to the body, say, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, body. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Imagine getting rinsed off in a sort of beautiful iridescent colored light, and bring that beautiful point of consciousness back down through the crown, down through chest and belly, down past the root, dipping gently into the earth, pulling that earth energy in your consciousness back up through the body, and placing your attention and energy wherever feels most natural and right to you. And as you feel ready, you can take a deep breath and open your eyes. Okay, lovely. For those of you that are new, you probably saw a couple other people on the call doing it potentially, but there's something in Theta Healing called an energy break, which is just unbelievably helpful. So for the newbies, just real quick, take your right hand, right, and put it palm out. And for people that have been on the call before, feel free to do it again, and put your left hand on top, and then rub your hands together. And then as you press your left hand out, say, what's theirs is theirs. Good. And turn your right hand over and say, what's mine is mine. And then move your right hand over, up and over the top of the head. Lovely. Yeah. So what's theirs is theirs. What's mine is mine. It's just, this is a nice way of kind of keeping it clean if you've been in kind of in and out of a bunch of people's spaces. Yeah. Lovely. Good. So, now is usually the time that I open the floor. The last couple times nobody has said anything, which is not as fun as when people do say things, but also I get it. But if you have any questions or anything that you want to comment on, whether it was before the meditation started or during the meditation, now would be the time to do that. Penelope?
Yeah, I appreciate this. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you. I was just turning it up a little bit.
And also, it's interesting, like one of the things that you were asking for during the meditation was seeing something about Black and brown bodies. I'm sorry, I don't have the words. But
I said respected and honored.
yes, and I feel like over the years of being indoctrinated with what a Black and brown body is, it's also, I think, important for me to remember that I have to respect my Black and brown body.
Yeah.
And over the years, how I feel like hearing who Black people are from being a child, or what other people think of being, of Black people, and that I don't adopt that self-loathing, and remember to love myself and others with Black and brown bodies. So I feel like it's not only been indoctrinated to white people. I feel like Black people too have learned to loathe ourselves and others like us. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. And you're right. Like, we all have these brains when we're children that are squishy sponges that are just absorbing at such a rapid fire pace we couldn't even begin to imagine it. And even if you grew up in a culture that supported that idea that Black and brown bodies are precious and honored, if you watch most movies, there is like subtextually in the entertainment industry, it's pretty gross. It's like once you see it, you can't unsee it. So thanks so much for the share. And I so know that this is about the hatred that comes from disconnecting with the Divine Mother and from understanding ourselves that way. And it manifests in all of these different ways. And I personally think that if anybody on the planet, right, if you hate a Black or a brown body, you hate yourself. Like, there's just like no getting around it. If you hate Black women, then you hate yourself, because you can't separate the two things, right? And so thank you so much for your share, and thank you for talking too. Mwah, thanks. Anybody else? And just unmute yourself and talk if so, because I can't track everybody's hand.
Hi, Alexis. This is Lisanne.
Oh, hi.
So beautiful. I loved how slow you went. It was really great. And what I really loved was you said something about the power that comes from living your values. And that really resonated with me as a truth, you know, as an incredibly holy truth. So thank you for allowing.
Oh, totally. Thank you so much. And, you know, with the living in your values thing, one of the things that came up before the call was this idea that actually you can't talk about living in your values without talking about marginalized groups. Like, right? Like if you were really turning over all the rocks and recognizing how you can't talk about buying cheap crap from other countries that you don't know where it came from without talking about marginalized, underserved communities and racism, and how I really got this download in Theta around there's like the education and the willingness to push back and to self-examine, but then there's also our relationship with money and how we spend our money is such an immediate way where we can start to unpack where we've been outside of our values by what we've put our money towards, right? And being willing to take the time that it takes to get educated about who are the beings behind the company, where is the product coming from, what is the source point through which this is flowing into my experience. And I think there's like, just like there's a spectrum of privilege, like everyone on the call is to some degree privileged, otherwise they wouldn't even have a computer. We could say in that same way that energy of capitalism and American culture has gotten into all of our minds of thinking that our convenience needs are more important than the beings and the people that are behind the thing that we just want because we want it right now. And it's so healthy for us to know the difference between we're worth getting what we want when what we want is within our values, but so much of what we think we want is part of the indoctrination of thinking that we need things that we absolutely do not need. Yeah. So anyway, so thank you. So the values thing has been a huge conversation lately. Thanks, Lisanne.
I think it's also important to know, to take the time to scan our values, to know what they actually are.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about values quite a bit, but, you know, it's kind of like taking the time to really look at them and unpack them.
Totally.
And where the motivation for them comes from.
Yeah, I think
that was big for me. That was really rich. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. I think that it's really, like you said, to write them down and clarify them is the beginning of understanding as a barometer for what you are and are not doing within the container of values. Yeah. Anybody else?
I have a question, but it's a bit of a doozy.
Give me what you got, Selena.
I've just been thinking a lot about what it means to be white and spiritual, because spiritual spaces run by white women have often been like incredibly exclusive or abusive or appropriating practices from the cultures that we abused or killed off, or all of these things. And I've also been thinking about how like a lot of cultures, their spirituality is around connecting to the wisdom of their ancestors, whereas with white people, we have to like free ourselves of what our ancestors thought was wisdom. So I guess I'm just thinking about like how to go forward and be a spiritual person who pulls from the wisdom respectfully from other places and learns from that respectfully without appropriating it, while also creating like our own new pantheon, for lack of a better.
Yeah, that is a doozy. Thank you. Yeah. And, you know, I think that much like we kind of talked about last week, which is the initial period of waking up looks a lot like being disgusted, right? Because all of a sudden you're kind of like aware of the inauthenticity, the spiritual bypassing, the total gross appropriation of other people's ancient cultures. And I think that it's unfortunate to in any way reject the medicine, the underlying medicine of the culture that you're looking at historically, as a way of trying not to take or appropriate, right? Or to take ownership over. So you could say that some of the things that I've been reading, and I'm sure you have too, is the idea that whiteness, especially white women, have this problem with mine, right? So they see something and then they want to usurp it. And now like, oh, I'm actually the person offering this thing, whatever that looks like, right? And so there isn't a clear answer other than to move very, very slowly, because only through pacing yourself will you know when you start to go off from your value sect, if that makes sense. So there's not like a clean black and white answer other than to I think that the clearest things that I can think of are, one, to always source, anytime you're about to share something, to always source appropriately, right? Like that's the most obvious one, is to source where it is that we're getting inspiration and ideas and whatever that looks like. And then the second one, once again, is to get that there isn't a template by which one thing is always true and one thing is never true or always true. It has to be based on your own intuitive heart and moving very, very slowly and cautiously through spaces and through the examination of other cultures that you are learning about, so that you don't do what a lot of our American white culture teaches us to do, which is to take a bite-sized little snapshot of something and then to profess ourselves as experts. Right. And so for me, it's almost like other cultures have had more of a relationship with the amount of time it takes before they are even willing to say that they understand or know something. So most traditions you have to study with for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. And white spirituality oftentimes says like, oh, read this book and then you know everything. And so, yeah, I hope that's helpful. To me, it's really about the pacing and the patience and the dissection and the willing to look at it through that lens as a starting off point. Does that feel complete for now? Okay, good.
It's an ongoing. Like,
yeah,
thing,
basically I have no answer, just figure it out. Just
it helps. It
yeah.
helps.
Yeah, cool. Good. Anybody else? No? Okay.
Yes, me. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for everything. And it was very helpful to have you bring us to our spine, you know, to make the body comfortable for this work.
Yeah.
I think that was extremely helpful. And I'm going to thank you for that and share something on that line, which is a sister pointed out to me that we are all one. Again, we are one thing. We are that. Okay. We are the word that you're talking, that spirit in our bodies. She said our pupils are black, the bones are white, our marrow is yellow, our blood is red. And I just want to share that with you. And then to ask about, the way that we break the energy. Sometimes I find it difficult to open it for myself. So what do you say at the very beginning? At the very beginning, and why it's so hard to come into this space, maybe, or invite this space into ourselves?
Yeah. To me, are you talking about the beginning, not of a theta practice, but of just an interface with a person? Or are you talking about specifically like a theta relationship or a theta meditation?
I think a theta relationship, because we're asked, the responsibility for our vibration. And anyway, I was just thinking about the energy break, and then what can it be in the beginning?
Okay, good. That's great. Thank you so much. Yeah. So there's two things. The permission around space, right? It just is like, there's like a sort of trust that there's a collective permission on a call like this because everyone agreed and came and signed up, right?
Yeah.
And then the second thing is, which maybe you can practice the next time before you get on the call, is I spend maybe half an hour before the call in Theta, asking to be in service to all of the people that are about to show up, and asking that I somehow manage to communicate to and offer into the collective consciousness that which would nourish the most amount of people in the best possible way. And so to me, that opening that you're talking about has to do with perceiving yourself as safe. And you can perceive yourself as safe by taking the time to clean up your integrity and clean up your intention for the call. And then the field starts to open when you start to self-perceive that you can move about the cabin freely without doing any damage.
Yeah.
Does that make
and
sense?
Safety is a huge subject, being the enemy. And I agree with you that it takes decades to, practice.
Yeah.
And share things that come through us. I say, don't shoot the messenger. We don't know why we're chosen to be in certain places, So thank you for that respect, my dear. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you so much, Shanina. Is there anybody else?
This is Gail. I had something to add. Thank you so much. This was amazing. And I learned something on the call. Just, it's so simple, but that what's changed recently is that the rules, so the things we used to agree on in my family, for instance, the three of us who live together here, now we all have a slightly different perspective. And so in things we used to agree on pretty readily, and in my bigger circle of people at work and people I'm around, we used to agree on a lot of things. And now I feel like there's a lot of difference. And like my daughter, I've been arguing with her. She's like, well, you don't follow the rules, the rules. There's these rules about what we're supposed to do, right? To keep everybody safe with coronavirus and what we're supposed to do. And so I realized, it's all about what I have to look at it through my lens, because I run it through, do I really believe this? I have to go through my belief system, my intuition, and my knowing. And she has to go through her knowing. But I think it's very uncomfortable, or it's a different reality when everybody is having to go through that. So I really appreciate you saying, get everybody's stuff out of your space and get your own thing back, because that's what we really know. That's the only knowing we have for what our truth is. And then when we start to follow rules that don't feel like ours, it gets really confusing.
Sure. And can I add something to that?
Mm-hmm.
So that's all true. And then there's the next layer, which is asking, what causes the least amount of damage to my dharma, right? So sometimes I wear a mask when I don't want to. And sometimes I respect someone's boundaries, even if I don't know logistically or logically if I align with what they're doing. And so part of that listening to your intuitive heart, yes, is about your own sovereign right to do with your body as you see fit. And part of it is, what is the pathway towards love for me? Like, is it a loss of love for me to honor this other person's ask? Is it a restriction of my freedom, or is it a control impulse to say no? Do you know what I mean? So there's these subtle layers right underneath that, where I absolutely think we should listen to our own sovereign self, but to include within that picture, is there a way that I can stay self-connected and be flexible with the way that I express myself in order to create harmony around my family? You know, it's sort of like if I say I need to meditate X amount of hours a day, right? And then the 4-year-old that I live with needs or wants my attention when I want to meditate, even though my sovereign heart is telling me that meditation is the thing that I need, right? There's this space through which I'm asking, what is the damage of me getting rigid around what I believe to be true or not true? So I totally hear you, and I'm not encouraging you to do anything you don't want to do, but I think it's healthy to consider a sort of lucid, flexible way of relating to people by which you're not forcing them to get into a hard position against you by getting into a position, because as far as I can tell, liberation is as close to positionless as you can get. Yeah, at the end of the day. Yeah, good. Thank you so much. Yeah. Is there anybody else?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else want to talk to me? Okay. I heard one more person.
It's Lisa.
Oh, hi.
Hi. And I have an active inquiry right now around windows of pain tolerance and looking for the sweet spot of stretching my edges for staying with what my mind labels pain, whether it's the emotionality and discomfort that's evoked in difficult conversations, whether it's staying with activation in a relationship, or whether it's just staying with my hurting hip. I'm not even sure what the question is, but I feel like I want to ask for the kind of guidance and wisdom that you use to both stretch your edges, not go too far past them, but also to just stay in the game as much as possible.
Okay.
Especially in the place of chronic pain, things that every time that you go there, they activate what I would call pain.
Okay, good. Thank you. So we could say that part of the indoctrination, if you want to call it the patriarchy of the whole, you know, whatever, is to tell us that you're an army of one and that you have to do it yourself, and that bigger, better, stronger, faster is the right way to go, which is a hyperextension of yang energy in our culture, right? Which causes so much damage. It's like just Wang energy everywhere. And so we have to look at that. Yin means receptive, soft, supple, not hunting, not active, not deducing, not analyzing, not trying to get to the bottom of something, but receding not as an act of rejection or denial, but receding to honor that the sun and water can grow plants and you can't. You can plant the seeds, but then at a certain point, it's really out of your fucking hands. And so to me, finding that edge looks like getting to know your nervous system and getting to create a little bit more intentionality with how you look and when you look, and not just falling into looking unconsciously as a way of working on yourself, but to say, for these 20 minutes, I'm going to sit with my hip and I'm going to deep dive. And at the end, I'm going to say, thank you very much. Do what you need to do. Maybe I'm supposed to be in pain. I don't know. Let me draw from the creative forces, that which heals and nourishes and brings me back to wholeness, and then to let it go for a while. Does that make sense? Yeah, we all need to learn to toggle between yin and yang during this period of time so that we don't hyperextend and burn out and become useless. Right? So it's sort of like we're not really being super helpful to people when our mental state starts to go off rails. And so it's almost like rest, respite, digestion, nourishment, not just as an act of honoring self, but as an act of honoring that you want to stay in it for the long haul, which requires the feminine energy of restfulness. And look, and giving something time to breathe, and not putting so much value in the mind. Yeah. Good?
Yeah, thank you.
Cool, thank you. Is there anybody else before we do our closing circle and song? Anybody out there? Okay, just kidding.
Just real quick. Hi, Alexis.
Hi, Vicki.
Hi. Again, I just want to say thank you so much for touching on safety and what that is and where it comes from. And I really like, and I might say it wrong, I really liked when you said, I am willing to feel, we fill in the blank, and I'm willing to be fill in the blank. And it just felt like it felt good in the group, and it felt good, that support, and saying that out loud to uh, the divine,
Yeah.
and being safe in that.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
still safe if you feel that and you go there. It's okay.
Yeah. And that there's a lot of power in being willing to be uncomfortable, and in learning the wisdom of when your self-created discomfort prevents you from getting real work done. It's such a tricky thing, but we'll keep talking about all of it. So if everyone wants to take a deep breath, you're so welcome, and close your eyes, and let's just do thumbs to the left so that we can close together. And then we'll sing a little closing song and get complete. So just take a nice deep breath, and we did a lot of big opening in the chakra system today. So just take a moment to feel the places that you're open, the places where you feel buzzy. Nothing else to do for the moment. Just let it ride, moving up the spine, up the root, out through the crown, drawing earth energy in and sky energy down. And together, let's just call in Mother, Father, God, creator of all that is, to our angels and guides, to our higher selves. May I learn to live in the humility of accepting that I don't know a lot. And may I learn to wield what I do know powerfully and purposefully, and with the intention of creating harmony and community and connection on this planet that could use some harmony and community and connection right now. Let's just ask in the highest and best way that any shifts and changes that happened over the hour be sort of integrated softly down and into the body, mind, and spirit in a way that creates buoyancy and decompression and a remembrance that we are not alone, that there are many, many, many beautiful, profound, intelligent, deep light workers and people all bonding together right in this exact moment in time, looking for ways to heal, to collaborate, and to move forward to create something new. Thank you so much. So everyone just ground. You can zip up if you want to. And then for those of you that are new, I usually sing a little song at the end. It's the Happy Cell song. There was a couple weeks where it felt wildly inappropriate to sing a song about my happy cells, but you know, fuck it. People love it. Plus, it makes you feel good. And there is something about just inundating your own energy body with that it's okay to feel better, essentially, and not to feel better to ignore or deny, but to lift one's spirits, to buoy oneself up, to rally the warrior within, because we're in it for the long haul, right? And so you got to let joy into your body too, because what are we fighting for? You know, we're fighting for everyone's right to be joyful and to thrive. And so with that being said, for those of you that know the song, please sing with me. I'll see your lips moving even if I can't hear you. And for those of you that don't, you can join in a minute. So first round, every little cell in my body is happy. And second round, every little cell in your bodies are happy. You can sing to other people on the call, or even think about someone you've been worrying about and sing to them. You know, nothing like a good song prayer to titillate your cellular senses. Everybody ready? Okay. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. Sing to yourself. Every little cell in my body is happy. Every little cell in my body is well. I can tell every little cell in my body is happy and well. I can tell every little cell in my body is happy and well. Now sing to everyone else on the call. Every little bell in your bodies are happy. Every little cell in your bodies are well. Every little cell in your bodies are happy. Every little cell in your bodies are well. I can tell every little cell in your bodies are happy and well. I can tell every little cell in your bodies are happy and well. That's so lovely. Thank you everyone so much. And for everyone that's new, I'll probably add you to my email list. Feel free to ping me if you don't want me to. And I'll be doing another call next Friday. I'll send the audio recording or maybe both on Monday. Feel free to reach out with any questions. And it was a pleasure to spend the hour and a half with you. Thank you so much for being. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good work.
Thank you so much. Bye, Shawnee. Lots of love. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexis.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye.
I actually feel you're gorgeous. Penelope.
Thank you.
Love you.
Oh, Penelope is gorgeous. Look at her. All right.
Oh my God. My granddaughter's like, oh, I love that. I want to be with, she wants to be with Black people.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody. Lots of love. Bye, Rebecca. Thank you for coming. Bye, Shanti, sweetie. Bye.